great day, attractive thinker, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at the Attractive Thinker Guru, where we support new and aspiring entrepreneurs. You know who you are. We support you with mental healing and mental strength and mindset maintenance, because that's what it's going to take in order for you to reach and accomplish and create your goals. Welcome my co-host Tichet Bradshaw to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance.
Happy Mindset Monday, everybody. We made it to another week. We
Yeah.
made it with all of our power to do what we never did, to go where we've never gone, and have all that we never had before and all that we deserve. It is such a great day to be alive.
Yes, it is a great day to be alive. Attractive thinkers, I trust that you have your notebooks and your pens handy. Visual encouragers, pay attention. Pay close attention today. You don't want to miss this episode because we're going to be dropping some gems and jewels along the way from the lessons and the blessings that we've acquired on our journeys during our time of breaking. Every attractive thinker has their time of breaking, where your defining moment becomes your destiny moment. But when that defining moment hits, when life really breaks you, it's unexpected. It hits you on the blind side. You know, life has its own energy and momentum. I used to say, and I wrote it, I believe, in my first book, that I had a plan for my life. You know, when you step out into life, you're in your 20s and you think you know how your life is going to plan out and how you want things to go. And it's supposed to go how you plan it. It's supposed to go, you know, according to what you think and your ambition. And we don't have a lot of fear when we're stepping out into life. So we're dotting I's and crossing T's, but that really doesn't matter because you feel like if you go here, that's going to work. And if you go there, that's going to work. But when life breaks you and hits you on the blind side and you enter into this unfamiliar place, life actually forces you. That's what defining moments do. They actually force you into a whole new world, something unknown, unfamiliar. And you can feel like Dorothy, like you're in a strange land, you know, and alone. And you can't get your bearings straight, can't get your balance. And you're looking at everything and it looks new and different. You're trying to find your way. But I want to encourage you today. Tisha and I are here to really support you in getting through the break, because there's life beyond the break. I want you to understand that. Tisha, talk to us today about when life breaks you. What is that process like? What actually happens? Because as our viewers today are experiencing a break, they're not sure what happened. They're still in shock. Talk to us
Yeah.
today.
So when life breaks you, usually it's something unexpected. It's something that you weren't planning for, something that you could have imagined, you could have not imagined, but it's something that came in and disrupted your peace, disrupted your plans, disrupted everything that you were comfortable with. When life breaks you, it causes you to be open and vulnerable. But you have a choice in the midst of breaking. You now have a choice. You could choose to focus on the breaking or focus on what happens beyond that break. And what happens beyond that break is more than we can explain in one show. I mean, we got tons of show where we talk about life beyond that break. But basically, what what really happens is you get introduced to the real you. You get introduced to a new way of living, a new way of thinking. And this new way of thinking comes if you decide. You have to decide that you're not going to let the breaking destroy you. Because, yes, we can go through a series of break, but attractive thinkers, visionaries, we do not get destroyed. We go down, but we don't stay down. So when life happens that causes a heartbreak, that causes you to feel like you're all in pieces, the one thing that we desire to do is to put it all together. We want to force all the pieces together. But what if that break-in caused you to do something completely different than the path that you were originally on? What if it causes you to now be mosaic? It's not meant for you to look like that. It's meant for you to look like this. So when you go through the break, we have to understand what what this really is. Why are we really going through this? But not with judgment now. We want to look at why we're going through this because we're looking for power. Attractive thinkers, visionaries, we are always looking for power. So even if we go through heartbreak, even if there's disappointment, we're always looking for, okay, what really happened here? What did I miss? Because we know that whatever we went through today was because of yesterday's energy, yesterday's decision. But whatever we're creating today is for tomorrow's power. Because a lot of the seeds that we sow don't always manifest right there in the break. The harvest comes later on down the road. How fast, how quick, it depends on what you are creating. But what you are creating depends on what you see. So the reason why we're always talking about what you see when you're in the break is important is because whatever you focus on grows. So whatever you see is what you're going to focus on. And if you're focusing on the negativity, then the negativity is what's going to grow. If you're focusing on the positivity, then the positivity is what's going to grow. Now, can you get a negative outcome out of something positive? Yes, if you look at it that way. But if you understand that all things work together for good, then you understand there is no negative outcome. Everything equals favorable. Everything. So everything you do matters. Everything you do has led you up to now and is leading you into greatness. So we can't judge what just happened. We have to focus on the walking in the greatness, but we have to make sure that we understand that we're walking not by sight, but by vision. We're walking by vision. What are you visualizing? What, even though this situation, this circumstances has broke your heart, that's not the end of you. This is not the end. This is not what all that life is. Sometimes, Dr. Tony, when we say, this is all there is to life, you think it's just heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. You tend to think heartbreak is normal, right? But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be normal, but sometimes your heartbreak is necessary. If that's to get you to the place that your spirit has been calling for, then yes, that heartbreak was necessary. I can speak for myself. My heartbreak was necessary. Me being in the process of losing everything and even tried to lose my mind, but no matter what, I couldn't lose myself. I lost everything else, but I couldn't lose myself. I couldn't lose my mind because my mind had a lot of greatness in it. And I allowed that to be consistent. So when you're walking by faith, by vision, and not by sight, you are creating in that moment. You are creating out of that vision. You are creating beyond what you can see. So when the heartbreak happens, you got to create beyond the break. You got to start creating beyond that break. When a break comes, you're not so on to judging it. You're on to finding the answer and the solution. Because really, that's the reason why it happens. That's the reason why negative situations come up is because there's a solution that was planted in you. You are the solution. What's in you is the solution, and it can only come out through the break. And sometimes we get so comfortable and just living normal mediocrity. We get so comfortable and living mundane routine lives that we don't move until something breaks us. The breaking causes change because when you're in the middle of a break or something you can't handle, it is impossible to stay the same. Why? Because now you are forced to look at what's in front of you. So that's what I think, Dr. Tony. I think that when the break happens, it's necessary because all things work together for good. Where's the good in it? The good shows up later when you keep living beyond that break. That's what I believe, Dr. Tony.
I agree wholeheartedly with that, Tachette. And I'm telling you, the whole time you were talking, the flow was just coming to me on how we can support attractive thinkers and visual encouragers through a break when life breaks you. So attractive thinkers, I want you to, take out your notebook, your attractive thinker notebook, and there are 5 things that I want you to write down. Where do you place your focus when life breaks you? I have 5 things that I want to share with you, okay? So number one is you have to remember who you are. Like Tichet said, I too have had my moment in time where life broke me. You know, I had to remember who I was. And I'm going to tell you, when life comes at you and life breaks you, it's like you're in a whirlwind. It's like, what just happened? Why did it happen? But you can't even get to the why part because you're trying to figure out, is this real? What just happened in my life? And where did it come from? Why did this had to happen? Did this really happen? You're like, am I dreaming? Can somebody wake me up? Whatever that is. And you get to a point, those initial, I'm gonna tell you something to share, those initial psychological responses, physical responses, mental and emotional responses, they're involuntary. You can't even control them. You're over here and you're over there and you're feeling this and you're feeling that. It's involuntary. It's like all of this stuff is happening to you at once. You're experiencing all of this energy all over the place. But then when the dust settles, when you realize this is reality, that this really did happen, and when all of that settles, in order for you to get a grip on your mind, in order for you not to lose you in the process, you have to remember who you are. I can share so many experiences, whereas I experienced a defining moment where life, hit me on the blind side, and I wasn't expecting that. And when the dust settled after the initial shock and response, I had to come to group because when life is coming at you like that and you're not and you're launched immediately into the unfamiliar and unknown and you can't figure things out, your mind goes rampant. Your thoughts go rampant. You start thinking thoughts from yesteryear. You start thinking thoughts from who said what, and thoughts from 10 years ago. I mean, when the heart breaks, if you've been watching these episodes long enough, attractive thinker and visual encourager, you know what happens when the heart breaks. When the heart breaks, all of your good stuff leaks out first because that's what's on top. Your ideas, your creativity, your courage, your confidence, all of these beautiful things about you leaks out first. Your compassion and how the thing that you do to keep you at the top of your game, all of that just spills right out on the ground. And what rises to the surface is all the doubt and the fear and the uncertainty and the unfamiliar, all of the negative things and all that negative self-chatter and all of that mental beat up, that rises to the surface, and you have to catch yourself. It's like, wait a minute, I know I cannot roll like this. I know what just happened. I lost my courage and my confidence when my heart broke, but I remember who I am. And that helps me when I'm not, in my confidence and courage. When and there's a scripture that comes to my mind while I'm speaking about this. I heard a voice just now say, when my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to a rock that is higher than I. I want you to think about that, attractive thinker. When your heart is broken, when your heart is overwhelmed, you want the spirit to lead you to something that is greater than you, because all of your higher emotions and higher vibrations and your higher thoughts just leaked out on the ground. You need to be led to something that is higher than you in order to survive this break, in order to be able to function through this process, until you're at a healthy state, whereas the waters are calm again and the dust settles and you didn't lose you in the process. See, there's a strategy to going through a break and not losing you in the process, but you have to trust and you have to remember who you are. When you can't remember anything else, remember who you are, because who you are is enough. This stuff is coming from our heart. We've lived this. We're sharing our life lessons, our gems and jewels, and the blessings that we've encountered and acquired along the way while we were walking through our valley of the shadow of death. I want you to understand that, attractive thinker. So, and pay close attention when we start talking and sharing, because it's divine inspiration that flows through us. We're just vessels. We don't know what to say to you guys. We're just vessels. We just make ourselves available so that the spirit can do what it does. It's the spirit that wants to bless you. It's the spirit that wants to heal you. It is the spirit that wants to encourage you. It is the spirit that wants to comfort you and carry you through this break to the other side of wholeness. It is the spirit. It is not Toni and Tichet that wants to do this for you. We just want to make ourselves available. So I'm saying that so that you can take this seriously. Write this down in your attractive thinker notebook. If you're in a broken place, if you're experiencing a heartbreak right now, if you've experienced a break a while ago and you still haven't recovered or healed from it, you definitely want to have these resources to support you in not losing yourself, because you may have lost a lot, but if you lose yourself, that's when you've lost everything. So number one, remember who you are. You might say, well, Dr. Toni, you're going to have to tell me who I am because I forgot, or I never discovered who I was. Let me share something with you. You are more than enough because of who created you. The mere fact that you're breathing, the mere fact that you're able to sit here and listen to this message qualifies you for more than enough. You're fantastic and amazing. You're great. You said, well, Dr. Toni, I've heard those things before, and none of that resonates with me. I can't really feel that. Well, I want you to look at who created you. You didn't create yourself. I didn't create myself. Something higher than me created me. Something bigger than me created me. I am a thought in this great big God's mind manifested in the earth. You mean he thought about me? You mean all he had to do was think another thought and I wouldn't even exist? So if just that right there is if that's not enough to let you understand your worth, to support you in understanding your value, there's nothing else that you can get your value from than the one who created you and gave you the value. You don't get your value from people. You don't get your value from things that are man-made. Everything you see is man-made. The only things that God created was the sun, the moon, the stars, the heavens and the earth and the land and the sea and the animals and the birds and you and me. That's what God created. And that has extended value, endless value from generation to generation. Thou art God, the Almighty. So you're a thought in his mind. How do you know? The scripture says, I have good thoughts of you, plans to prosper you, give you hope in the future. You get your identity from the divine power, not from your mother, father, sister, brother, aunts, cousins, and friends, and whoever down the street or on the job or whatever. That they don't give us our identity and our value. You think about if I was to give you a gift, like, Christmas is coming up soon, and people are going to be giving gifts and people are going to be receiving gifts. What if I gave you a gift and there were no instructions in there? And I mean, it was cool. It was this really cool gift. It was fantastic and amazing. And when you opened it, you just couldn't wait to see how it functions, and you couldn't wait to benefit from it. And you kept rummaging through the package. You were like, how does this work? How does this work? And you were looking for the manual and there was none. Would you ask your friend to help you with that or help you figure out how this works? Would you ask somebody at the supermarket? Would you ask somebody down the street? No, you would call me and say, Toni, you gave me this wonderful gift. How do I use it? How does it work? What can it do? It's gorgeous. It's fantastic and amazing. It's the same thing with you, attractive thinker and visual encourager. God created you, so you got to go back to the manufacturer and get your identity. You go back to the manufacturer and discover your worth and your value. Why did he create me? How did he create me? What am I capable of? What can I do that I haven't discovered yet? That's how incredible you are. So number one, when you remember who you are, that is half the battle right there. That's like 90% of success when you're dealing with a break, is remembering who you are. When you remember who you are, you automatically know who you're not. I'm not a failure. I'm not a weakling. I will recover. I'm not a loser. I'm not going to stay here forever. I won't be broken forever. I will smile again. See, you remember these things when you remember who you are. Number two, you got to protect your energy and set up boundaries around your heart space. Because when the heart breaks, now everything is accessible. You're vulnerable. You can't allow any and everything in your energy. You got to put people in place to handle some of your business, so you can guard your heart. So you got to set up a fortress so that they have some barriers to come through before they can get to you. And that's only to protect you. Number three, you're going to have to guard your hearing Because you're vulnerable and because your heartbreak made your heart accessible. You have to guard your hearing because your faith and your belief comes through your hearing. Your inspiration is going to come through your hearing. And if you're not guarding your hearing, you're letting everybody have your ear and people around you telling jokes and talking about nonsense, a bunch of unmeaningless things, and you're in a vulnerable place, you can't hear the divine power, the powerful voice of the Holy Spirit leading you and guiding you, weaving you in and out of the valley of the shadow of death. You can't hear the instruction, so you have to guard your hearing. Number four, only keeping only close family and friends who, and here's the key, who had your back prior to the break. They had your back prior to the break. That means you don't have to vet these people. You don't have to make them qualify. You don't have the energy. When you're going through a break, you don't have the energy to get to know somebody new and then try to figure out if they're for you or not. You want to have only, you got to set up boundaries. You got to make some quick shifts. Okay, all of these people who didn't have my back prior to this break, now they're well wishers. They mean well. They're gathering around you. Oh, I'm so sorry. Or I'm concerned. Or how can I help? They're gathering. But if they didn't have your back prior to the break, they're going to have to take a back seat, okay, at a distance. Somebody's going to have to filter your phone. You can't be answering your phone. You need somebody to answer the phone for you and filter those calls because you're in a vulnerable place. Attractive thinker, I hope you're getting this because you're special. And when you're special, you got to take care of yourself like you're special, especially when you're going through a break. So now only the people who had your back prior to the break are the ones that need to be in your inner circle right now, because your heart is your inner circle and you want inner circle relationships in your space right now, not people that were in your outer circle before the break. Number five, trust and take extra special care of yourself, your mind, your body, and your heart. Trust. What do I mean when I say trust? When I say trust, what I mean is, I want you to really hear this, attractive thinker and visual encourager. When I say trust, it means that you're not just trusting God, but you're trusting you. Trust that you're going to make it. Trust that you are strong enough. Trust that you're not weak. Trust that you've got this. Trust that you're going to be okay. Trust that you're coming out stronger. Trust that there's a message to this madness. Trust that because it happened to you and because of who you are, that it all has to work out for good. It has to. It's a principle. It's a law. It's a guarantee. If it I always say, if it has to hurt me, it's going to have to count because I know who I am. Nothing can come my way without it meaning something, or without me being able to pull something from it or be able to use it, because I know who I am. I'm just not just this random chick. I've been through some things. I've had some experiences with life and some experiences with God. I have some clarity about some things. So if it has to hurt, it's going to have to count. I'm sorry, it's just going to have to count. We're just going to have to sift through this thing and see what good we can pull from it and package it and see how we can use it to help somebody else. Because you know who you are, because I know who I am. So I want you to keep these 5 points in the forefront of your mind, because you're in a vulnerable position right now. Remember who you are, protect your energy and set up those boundaries. Guard your hearing because your heart is accessible right now. You don't need everybody in your heart space. Number 4, only close friends and family who had your back before the break are the ones who should be in your space and your energy right now. And number 5, trust and take extra special care of yourself, extreme care of your mind and your body. You have all the priorities have to take a back seat. You're the priority now. You are the priority. Back to you, Tichet.
Okay, so Dr. Toni, you said so much doing this, and I like that. The 5 things that you have to do when you're in the break. Um, the thing about it is these 5 things that you have sound to me a bit like the things you have to do when you're giving birth to something. So
Mm,
could the break be a birth of a new life, a new vision, a new you, a
Mm.
new era, a new level. When I was thinking about all these things when you were going through them, I said, this sounds the same way when we're carrying something. So when you're going through a break, the exposure of what needs to be tightened up comes to the fore. Because we supposed to be protecting the gates. You talked about protecting our hearing, protecting our heart. We supposed to be protecting our gates anyway. Our entry points to our soul. We're supposed to be protecting our eyes, our ears, protecting how information gets in. We're supposed to be protecting that anyway. But sometimes you don't understand how much protection you need until a break-in happens. So a lot of people, for instance, if they look at when their house, they might take for granted the locking of doors or unlocking of doors. They
Mm.
might take the locked doors for granted until somebody else breaks in. And when somebody else breaks in, um, now you're like, okay, I gotta get an extra lock. I have to fix this. How do they get in this way? You start checking windows. You start checking everything. So when you go through the break, you have to check to see what was damaged. You got to assess yourself to see what got disrupted, what was vulnerable, what part was vulnerable, and why. Because there's a lot of reasons why the break happens. It's
Mm.
definitely to expose some things to you that you didn't know. Also, while you were talking about that, you talked about keeping family close. Um, Family, I need y'all to hear this. Family, the root word of family is familiar, right? Family is people you are familiar with. Family and friends. And we're not talking about fair weather friends, bad weather friends. We're talking about friends. We're talking about people who really have your back. Like you said, Dr. Tone, they have your back before the break, they'll have your back during the break. I was thinking about when giving birth, when you're in an emergency room and you're giving birth, right? You can't have everybody in that room with you when you're ready to give birth. You can't have just this person and that person just because you known them for forever. You have to have people you trust can handle what you're going through. People who can give a sound advice. People, who you have people who can guide you, or people who can give comfort or encouragement, people who's not interested in taking away at the moment of your break. You have to be careful who's in the room with you. We have to start qualifying people for our space anyway, because we're carrying way too much. And if we're carrying the things we're carrying is too precious for us to sit here and allow any old body to come in and think they can have any way with us and tell us anything to make us to disrupt our life like that. We have to start qualifying people to be around us. Does that mean that you're acting, too good or snobby, or some people might say sadity? If that's what you feel, then okay then. But as long as you protect your gates and protect who you are and protect your gift and protect your vision, you do whatever you got to do in that break to make sure that break does not happen again. That if a break has to happen again, then it needs to be a different type of break, because that one was secured. That one was fixed. That one we understood. We're not going to go through the same breaks over and over and over and over again. You keep dating the same person, they keep breaking your heart the
Mm.
same way. You keep
Mm.
leaving your door unlocked and they keep breaking in the same way. You keep putting yourself out there and people keep taking advantage of you over and over again. You keep allowing the same people in your space, and you tell them your gifts and you tell them what you want going on. You tell them your vision, and they talk it right into the trash. You don't want to keep going through the same breaks over and over again. So when the break happens, you take the time to assess and to learn from it. And let me tell you something about taking your time. Your time is necessary. And anybody that has a problem with you taking the time while you're in the break, assess that relationship too, because it's mind over matter. The people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind. So you have to really be careful of who you're allowing in your space during the middle of the break, or giving birth, or transitioning, or leveling up. You have to be really careful about those things. You have to protect the gift at all times. What gift are we protecting? We're protecting the gift that's within you, the vision that's within you, your heart, your soul, your spirit, the thing that causes you to excel, the thing that you have to give to this earth, the thing that you're contributing for the greater good. You have to protect your gifts. Even if you don't know if that gift is important, or you might not know that you have a gift, then you have to trust that yes, there's something in me. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to make sure I protect myself, because this I don't want to feel again. This heartbreak about this, I don't want to feel again. So if you got to go through a break, make sure it's an unexpected break, not one you could have prevented. So you know what that means? That means we got to shift from being responsive, or we're being reactive to everything, to being proactive and preventative. You know, how we say you can prevent from, even with the new, pandemic that's going around. A lot of us started taking preventative measures instead of waiting until we to start. Now we want to start, you know, going in place and doing this and taking care of stuff and reactive. That causes a panic. But if you're taking a preventative measure, you don't have to panic so much because you already have things set up. So attractive thinkers and visionaries, we take preventative measure. We set things up. We have power walls. We have things, cue cards. We have videos. We have people who we can call. We have things that allow us to remember who we are. We have things set up. If a heartbreak happened, I want to make sure that, I have this thing to remind me who I am. Because when a break happens, you do forget who you are. You forget everything around you, and your focus become what broke you. Not the break, not beyond the break, but what broke you. So you're focusing more on what made your heart break as opposed to your heart breaking. And when you start focusing on the fact that your heart broke, you'll start looking for solutions versus what broke your heart. Now, we're not saying not to think about what broke it, because again, all of that works together. You have to, sometimes it's to show you where you need to tighten things up, where you need to strengthen some things, where you were already vulnerable. But as attractive thinkers and as visionaries, we have different things in place just in case another break happens. We're not immune to going through break. We're not immune to disappointment. We're not immune to heartbreak. We're not immune to bad days and things like that. But we know that if those things should happen, this is a strategy and a plan just in case. You know how we practice fire drills? If we start doing, if the house catch fire, this is what I'll do. This is how I'll go. This is the exit. We have to strategize life that way too, because if anything should happen, we want to make sure that we have the best insurance. And when I say insurance, of course, you mean life insurance, health insurance, and all those, the car insurance and all that stuff. But what is your spiritual insurance? What is your emotional insurance? What is your insurance for your heartbreak? What do you have set up that comes in to hold you while you heal?
Mm,
Because we're so interested in just getting on back out there and let's get
mm-hmm,
act like things never happened. And then you know what happens when you ignore your heartbreak? It shows up in your body as an illness, because it was meant for you to pay attention to that. It was meant to show you some things, but if you ignore it, it shows up as other stuff. It's gonna come out because that gift in you is necessary, and all the breaking does is exposes the gift. I would have never known about anything about a visual encourager had I not needed encouragement, had I not went to depression, had I not stepped outside of living the way other people say I should live. I would have known had I not gone through that break, and it made me so angry that I had to question all of my existence. And when I questioned all of my existence, it allowed me to see things for what they really are and not what I was trying to make them to be. And Dr. Tony, you said something about the people, you said people, you don't get your value from other people. Now let's think about that for a second. The value that we place on our life should start from us. Other people should confirm, not give, not take away, but confirm. So when you give other people your value, you're leaving your identity in the hands of other people. That's like going to meet a couple people and letting everybody hold your ID, your credit card, and your social security card. Never will we do that. So that's an external identity. We have to protect the internal identity the same way. You're not going to go out here and allow people to just hold your social security card and your ID like it's just another plastic bag. You're not going to do that. You're going to be careful who you let handle your identity. So we have to do the same thing emotionally. We have to do the same thing spiritually. How you do anything is how you do everything. The way you protect your ID and your social security and your bank account, you got to protect your gift the same way. Put your gift in there. Put your identity in there. Put your spirit in there. Put your heart in there. All of that wrapped up in the purse, and you protect it with everything you got. Why? Because you are necessary. Your value starts with you and the identity you placed on yourself. How you identify with the thing makes all the difference in the world. So when you are at a breaking point, don't identify with the break. Identify with what's bringing you out of the break that allows you to live beyond the break. I'm the visual encourager. I did not identify with the discouragement. I identified with how I got out of the break and the encouragement that I got from it so that I can continue to be visual encourager. So I'm telling you guys, how you treat yourself is important. We always say, well, I don't want to be selfish and, I don't want to be so self-centered. But if you don't take care of yourself and have balance in the self-care, then how good could you be for anybody if you're no good at all? It's important for you to take care of yourself. It's so important for you to take care of yourself. There's nothing wrong with thinking about yourself sometimes. There's nothing wrong. Yes, we're so used to putting everybody first, but then what happened? We end up in the corner balled up with no strength, asking other people what they think about us. We have to get into a place where it's okay to build yourself up and then help the next person. Even with the airplane, they tell you put the mask on yourself first and then put it on your neighbor. Why? Because how much can you help anybody if you're dead inside? If you're spiritually dead, if you're walking around like a zombie, how good are you for anybody, for your children, for your friends, or your family? So it's necessary for you to take that time to make sure these 5 steps is incorporated in your life, in your daily routine. It's important to have it there because then you can be greater, not just greater for yourself, but greater for everybody around you. So your break actually helps everybody around you. All things work together for the good. Back to you, Dr. Tony.
That is so fantastic and amazing. Attractive thinkers, visual encouragers, I trust that you have gathered some resources today that will really help you in living your life beyond this break. Tichet, you talked about this break. The way you were talking about taking these preventive measures, I was thinking about being break proof. And then as soon
Mm,
as I thought that you were talking about this is emotional insurance. This is
mm-hmm,
spiritual insurance. These 5 ways to 5 places to put your focus when you're going through a break, when life breaks you. I want you to think about that as having break proof insurance. Because life can break your heart, but it doesn't have to break you. That's 2 different things. Now we could talk about that in a whole nother topic to share.
mm-hmm,
Life can
mm-hmm.
break your heart, but it doesn't have to break you. That's 2 different things. Okay. So make sure you focus on these 5 areas where you're going to keep your focus when life breaks you. Okay. So one of the last things I want to say to Shay, you brought out another good point. You said, well, Dr. Tony, these 5 steps also look like the steps to giving birth. And you mentioned also to leveling up. the steps to giving birth and leveling up. And then I thought about it. I said, yeah, these are also the steps that you can take when you're trying to grow or change in an area. It's the same steps. So when I thought about these three things, the 5 areas to place your focus when life breaks you. So is it really a heartbreak or are you giving birth? Is it really a heartbreak or are you leveling up? Is it really a heartbreak or growth and change? The process of growth and change. So see how it not just nullifies or diminishes or desensitizes us from your heartbreak, because we've all experienced heartbreak. Pain does what it does to all of us. It hurts. So we're not diminishing or trying to water down what you're experiencing. What it does do, these truths, what they do is they lighten the load. They help you to understand it's not personal, it's preparation. They help you to understand that you're going to be okay. You will survive. And this is the most beautiful thing that I can say before we close, is that life beyond the break is always more beautiful than it was prior to the break. These 5 steps are preparing you and opening your eyes, clearing your view, stepping you out of the fog, wiping your tears and helping you to understand you're being prepared for a life that is so much grander than the life you had. And I can honestly say that that was my experience through so many different life breaks in my life. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. I know, because I feel it within myself, I know that you received some inspiration and encouragement, and I could feel the weight lift. I could see the fog disappear. And I can see that you can see a little bit more clearly than you did before you heard this message. I want you to visit our website at theattractivethinker.guru and opt in, place your information there so that you can receive 5 videos from me about how to turn your problems into your solution. Check your email after you place your information there on the website. You're going to receive 1 video from me for the next 5 days. Okay, so stay tuned to your email. Tichet, tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, the visual encourager.
Absolutely. You can find me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com. We provide mental support for movers and shakers, trailblazers, pathfinders, and groundbreakers, people who desire, visionaries who desire to move mountains but just need help lifting the heaviness so that they can create a new vision for themselves. Go to my contact us page, put in your information, let me know how I can uplift you, ignite you, and encourage you so that you can live the life that you just created with abundance, so that you can live the life you love. Again, my website, www.visualencouragement.com. See you soon.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tichet. Attractive thinkers and visual encouragers, stay tuned for the next episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. You always hear us say our life's work, that's to make your life better. Remember, it is not what you're going through, it's how you're doing it. Think attractively, and we'll see you soon.